Hey guys, welcome back to another PlanetSide 2 video. This is Renegade Raccoon, and today we'll be reviewing the AMR-66. Before I begin, I want to make my bias clear. I love this gun. Buying it may have been my best decision so far. I have fun with it, it rewards good aim, and it allows for interesting gameplay that may be foreign to some classes. The AMR-66 is a semi-automatic battle rifle exclusively for the Terran Republic's Heavy Assault, Engineer, and Combat Medic classes. It is purchasable for 325 certs or 250 station cash. It is important to note that the Warden for the NC and the Eidolon VE-33 for the VS have nearly the same stats, with the Eidolon VE-33 having no bullet drop in return for a slightly lower bullet velocity. Therefore, any information regarding statistics, playstyle, and relevance will be applicable to each rifle. I won't bore you with all the numbers, there will be links to the data if you're curious, but there are some specific data points that are critical to understanding the weapon when you first pick it up. First of all, the damage done by the weapon is greatest from 8 meters or closer, sitting at 250 damage per bullet, and drops off until 75 meters when each bullet will do 225 damage. This decrease in damage is astronomically low, further emphasizing its strong suit, mid to long range combat. Because each bullet is nearly as effective when you're fighting in close corridors as when you're lobbing shells across the open field, focusing your use of this weapon for long-range engagements will ultimately provide you the most bang for your buck. To put the numbers into perspective, if your enemies aren't wearing nanoweave armor, it will only take 2 headshots on an infiltrator to bring them down from any range, whereas all other classes will require 2 headshots and 1 more bullet for lethal damage. Furthermore, because 8 meters is incredibly close, you'll seldom do the full damage per bullet. Because of this, it will almost always take 3 shots to take down general infantry. There are times, however, I do end up bringing the rifle into close range combat, and with good aim, it is still able to perform, especially when you're able to land a couple good headshots. However, as close range is a more ideal engagement distance for SMGs, carbines, and other automatic weapons, when presented with the choice between the AMR-66 and one of the fully automatic guns, you're more likely to find success with the latter. The ability to take down enemy snipers from any range with only 2 headshots opens up a world of possibility for medics, NGs, and heavies. Because most humans don't have perfect reaction time, if you're able to line up those shots, it's a virtually guaranteed kill. Now, in addition to already bringing rockets, bringing revives, or bringing turrets, your class will be able to locate and eliminate enemy snipers and provide firepower from long ranges. The Engineer class, however, will benefit the most from using the AMR-66, as the clip size of the rifle, sitting at only 20 per clip with 100 rounds in reserve, is able to be drained very quickly, as landing shots is not often as simple as 1, 2, dead. With the Engineer's ability to provide cover by the mana turrets and drop ammunition, they can optimally utilize the rifles. However, a Heavy's overshield will be incredibly useful if engaging in close quarters. As for medics, it just comes down to necessity. If the situation demands long-range support, the AMR-66 is a solid pick. Let's go over the attachments. Although I'm not going to go through every single scope, I would recommend a scope of 3.4x or 4x magnitude to have for a default setup. This power allows for opportunities to spot and kill enemies at a mid to far distance. If you so choose to take the rifle into close quarters, then the choice of sight belongs to you. I personally use the Terran RTS reflex sight to give myself a crosshair and to sport my Terran pride. The barrel attachments are much more tricky to decide between. The suppressor conceals muzzle flashes, masks the minimap indicator, and masks the sound of firing the rifle. The trade-offs for these benefits are that the projectile velocity and the minimum damage range are reduced. Although the minimum damage component is nearly negligible for the AMR-66, the velocity reduction heavily impacts performance. The bullet drop becomes much more pronounced, and subsequently results in shots becoming much more hard to land, especially when considering that 5 body shots would be required to take down standard infantry. Because you would ideally be fighting at ranges at or above 40 meters, you wouldn't even show up on enemy minimaps without a suppressor, making that benefit useless. Furthermore, because infiltrators and light assault units are much more effective at assassinating targets behind enemy lines, the thought of a medic or an engineer running behind enemy lines with a suppressed AMR-66 in close quarters combat is almost ludicrous. The That being said, I have tried out using the suppressor and found that the high velocity ammunition is able to bring back the projectile velocity to a manageable state, but it also increases vertical recoil, making close quarters combat engagements more difficult. Generally speaking, in a situation where a suppressor would be beneficial, another weapon would be more suitable. The suppressor doesn't ruin the weapon, but it makes it unnecessarily more difficult to use for marginal benefit to a situation in which the AMR-66 was not meant to be. The flash suppressor simply removes a majority of the muzzle flash at the cost of a slight increase in the cone of fire radius when spamming the trigger. This is my default pick because it does not negatively impact bullet velocity while still allowing for concealment, which is critical when counter-sniping. The compensator is situationally useful. It reduces vertical recoil but causes you to appear on enemy minimaps up to 80 meters away, potentially ruining your concealment and marking you on the map for enemy snipers to pick off. As I will discuss later on, the recoil of the weapon isn't meant to be dealt with in the same way as an LMG, for example, and because of this, I don't feel that the compensator is worth the price of increased enemy detection, especially when compared to the flash suppressor. It is, however, useful in close quarters when you don't care about the detection and just want to spam out headshots as fast as possible. The reduced recoil and recentering time do allow for easier headshots when the situation gets tight. The rail attachment choices are much easier. The flashlight has little to no use. The practical use would be as an attachment for a sidearm, a weapon much better suited for close quarters combat. The laser sight is only viable when engaging in close quarters when you expect that hip firing may be in the future. Because the hip fire on the AMR-66 is so wild, the laser sight helps to tighten the cone into a much more viable option. For range, however, I use the foregrip. Less movement required by your mouse to fix your aim is always better for your overall accuracy, and in most scenarios, the foregrip has no downsides. It isn't a critical attachment, but it's convenient. As for the high-velocity ammunition, the only ammunition option available to the AMR-66, it's a near necessity to own. HVA increases projectile velocity as well as increasing vertical recoil. Having the reduced projectile drop and increased speed is great for counter-sniping and picking up targets from a long range. The increased vertical recoil is easily compensated for by pacing shots. Because of the semi-automatic nature of the rifle, the time it takes to recenter is only marginally longer than its own rechamber timer, so by pacing shots just a fraction of a second, you're able to secure kills more effectively. The playstyle of the weapon, as previously mentioned, is that of long-range engagements and counter-sniping, with moderate potential when up close. The main purpose of purchasing the weapon is to join the range of the infiltrator class with the utility provided by the combat medic, engineer, and heavy assault classes. When using the rifle, it is important to try for headshots as much as possible. Because it can take up to 5 or more body shots to down general infantry, depending on loadout and heavy shields, reducing the number of shots to kill them before they can react is critical to the effectiveness of the rifle. Staying behind the front lines and staying under cover can give you time to set up, pick a still target, and place a few good headshots. Is it viable? Yes, I've been using it extensively up to making this video, and I've had great success when using the AMR-66. The primary arguments I hear against the weapon are for the amount of shots it would take to kill somebody and its inability to outclass carbines and LMGs in a dueling engagement. These are totally flawed statements, as those are situations in which the rifle is not meant to excel, and good aim can fix the bullet count. The AMR-66 should be kept far enough away so that carbines and LMGs would not be able to land many shots due to their cone of fire, so if danger arises, you can slip behind cover. But, as always, the best way to find out is to try it for yourself in the VR room and on the field. I truly believe you'll find great use for it. If I had missed anything, feel free to add more information in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Renegade Raccoon out.